My wife kept a very big secret from me for a year. Recently, my wife dropped a bombshell that shattered my heart into a million pieces. It's still hard to process, but I need to share this to get it off my chest. About a year ago, we welcomed my nephew into our home. His school was nearby, so it made sense for him to stay with us temporarily. We expected it to be a smooth arrangement, especially since he's always been a great kid, respectful, considerate, and focused on his studies. My wife was pregnant at the time, and I thought having my nephew around would be a wonderful experience for all of us. But surprisingly, my wife wasn't fond of him being around. She'd often express her discomfort, saying she just didn't click with him. I found it strange, but I brushed it off, thinking maybe she was just stressed with the pregnancy. My nephew, on the other hand, seemed oblivious to the tension. He continued being his usual self-helpful, polite, and keeping to himself. Then, something unexpected happened that would change everything. I've always been careless with my business earnings, leaving some cash stashed around the house. I never thought twice about it, assuming our home was a safe haven. But one day, I discovered that a significant amount of money was missing. I was stunned. I asked my wife if she knew anything, and her response shocked me. She pointed the finger at my nephew, claiming he must have taken it. I was taken aback. My nephew had never given me any reason to doubt his integrity. He's always been responsible and honest. My wife, however, seemed convinced. She said that as a young college student, he might have needed the money for personal expenses. I couldn't shake off the feeling that my nephew might have indeed taken the money. Why else would my wife accuse him? I started questioning my own judgment, wondering if I had misread my nephew's character. I needed to clear the air, so I sat down with my nephew and asked him directly, "Did you take the money?" His response was emphatic. He swore he hadn't touched it. Despite his denial, the seed of doubt had already been planted. The trust issues lingered, and I felt uneasy having him around. I thought it best to address the situation head on. I made the difficult decision to ask my nephew to leave our home and return to his parents. I figured it would give us space to figure out what really happened and resolve the issue. In hindsight, I wish I'd handled it differently. But at the time, I thought it was the right call. I even went a step further. I paid for my nephew to live in a hostel, giving him independence and allowing us to move forward. My wife seemed relieved, even happy, with the arrangement. I thought it would bring us closer together, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd unjustly accused my nephew. A year passed, and I thought I'd long moved on from the incident. But then, my wife dropped another bombshell. We were having a quiet evening at home when she turned to me with tears in her eyes. "Honey, I have something to confess," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm the one who took the money." My mind reeled as she continued. "I hid it, and I blamed your nephew because ... I just didn't want him living with us anymore." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. How could she do that? How could she destroy the trust between me and my nephew? I was stunned, speechless. She tried to downplay it, attributing her actions to pregnancy hormones and mood swings. "It was just a silly mistake," she said. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, but her words rang hollow. The weight of my mistake crushed me. I had wrongly accused my nephew, and worse, I'd stopped trusting him. I thought about all the what-ifs. What if I'd listened to him? What if I'd stood up for him? A mix of emotions swirled inside me: anger, guilt, disappointment. How could my wife, the person I love and trust most, betray that trust so deeply? Now, I'm left reeling, unsure where to direct my emotions. Do I blame myself for being so blind, for not trusting my nephew? Or do I blame my wife for her deception, for manipulating me into turning against my own family? Her excuse that pregnancy hormones drove her decision feels hollow. Was it really just a mood swing, or was there something deeper at play? Either way, the damage is done. The pain I feel is palpable, a constant reminder of my failure to protect my nephew. I think about how I pushed him away, how I doubted his integrity. That's why I'm sharing this story, to unburden myself, to find some semblance of peace. Before I take any steps forward, I need to confront the hurt and regret that's been festering inside me. I hope that by sharing my story, I can begin to heal and find a way to rebuild relationships, especially with my nephew. I want to make things right, to regain his trust and respect.